want to make me some merch and say, Gerald, go buy this. I'll do it. This is the one I bought.
Noted.
Arizona, you want it? Well,
Good to know.
Mike's been telling me about Aztecs, but he's a division foe. I can't do it. America.
Whatever. I don't even know what any of that meant. But
I can't do it. I can't do Mexico City stuff. I got a flag hanging in my house.
That's
so
true. That's
yeah.
true. Well, welcome to the show. We're going to get Week 14 started. We've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about tonight. Got the Did that trophy get closer to you?
It's weird. I think it's fate. I must win one.
You have to have a team.
It's looking so beautiful. Look
It is
at
beautiful.
God, I can't. Man,
What everybody's
so
fighting
jealous.
for right there. The trophy, some rings, perhaps. You know, I got a couple.
Yes,
Probably the
not
only
fair.
two I'll ever have. If you base
Selfish.
last week
So-
on anything,
So selfish.
let's recap last week, shall we? Week 13 was not kind to me in any facet of the imagination. We'll talk about every single way that Week 13 was not kind to me. We'll start off right now. Sin City Samurai hosting the Mexico City Aztecs, 34-3. That was the biggest margin of victory of the week, by the way. The Sin City Samurai taking the Aztecs down by 31 points.
And it was in a dominating fashion. I know
Yeah.
it's nowhere like the game plan. You say you're like, dude, we feel really good going in.
We did.
We feel like we have everything set up, and it just
Did not work.
collapsed. It was crazy. Like
Nobody could catch. Nobody could throw.
it
Nobody
was
could
like-
run.
I don't know, man. You were
Nobody
wearing
could
those.
hold on to a ball.
You had
Nobody
those
could get a
Vegas
tackle?
those Vegas Fury throwbacks, and it.
Oh, not
just-
anymore. We burned them. They're gone. They don't exist anymore. We didn't even give them to Goodwill. We just burned them. They were bad luck for everybody.
Purging from existence.
How about the game that we called last week? The Chicago Warriors and the Fort Worth Toros, 48-35. I thought that it was going to be an offensive slugfest, and it sure was. It did not disappoint.
Yeah, look, and it was a game where we thought, hey, both these teams, it's a make or break game. Whoever lost that game can very likely kiss their playoff hopes goodbye. Chicago keeping their hopes alive, while Fort Worth, they're on the outside looking in big time, and I don't think they're going to get in.
Yeah. We'll actually talk about them in a little while. There's a couple other really big games. DC in Vancouver. We both thought Vancouver was going to run away with that win, but they didn't. DC got the win 24-21.
I thought Vancouver, I even mentioned it because I did pick Vancouver. I thought they'd go in by multiple scores because DC is still kind of recovering, but they showed, even on the road, them going in there and actually winning that game. So very, very strong performance. And DC, I think, is now back quite in the saddle of being one of the better teams.
I agree. The whole rest of the week kind of got a little weird. You had Washington hosting Arizona. Washington got the win at home. Baltimore hosted Queen City, and Baltimore got the win at home. But then you had Carolina at Charleston. Carolina got the win. Los Angeles at Oklahoma City. Los Angeles got the win. Pittsburgh at Albuquerque. Pittsburgh got the win. Houston at Lexington. Houston got the win. And not to be outdone, Denver Nightwings on the road, 5th game in a row that the away team won. That one was an amazing game, 45-42, an overtime thriller. DC getting the win over Minnesota.
And that was a crazy game, right?
Yeah.
And what a way to cap like the night off. Like Cam and Charles did awesome. That game calling it. It was back and forth, a whole lot of this and that. It was a great game. I enjoyed watching that game, and then you got extra football on top of that as we went in overtime. So
Sure
very,
did.
very good end to the week
Sure did.
with Denver taking down Minnesota.
I'm seeing Keith Wheeler in the chat saying that the Pittsburgh Riverhogs theme song, he didn't hear it at the beginning, so we'll make sure that that's played at the end so that everybody can hear the Pittsburgh Riverhogs theme song. It's a really cool song. So, hey, I don't mind hearing it again. But for right now, let's look at the updated playoff picture, shall we? Top 4 is going to be Houston. Houston and DC, Vancouver, and Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh at 7-2, along with Vancouver at 7-2, DC at 8-2. So DC still out in front in the division over the Riverhogs, and Houston, man, they've just looked dominant in first place at 9-1. 5 through 12, you've got Denver, Washington, Mexico City, Arizona, Sin City up in that top 10 now. Chicago up in the top 10, rounding out 11 and 12, Detroit and Florida, and still in the hunt, Minnesota, Queen City, and Albuquerque. So it's quite a different look from what we've seen in seasons past.
And I think and Sin City is an interesting team, especially as of late. They started the season not looking so good. They came on late pretty strong. I wouldn't imagine I would have actually seen them in this position right now. And Chicago's enough started off really hot and kind of fell off, and they make their way back in. Same thing with Detroit, getting back in. But as we know, look, the surprise of this group, we all know, is Pittsburgh being at where
Yeah.
they're at. They've won the most games that they ever won in their history right now. So, look, they're doing really good, and they got a chance at division title, right?
They
So,
sure do.
if they technically went out and DC wins out, they got that tiebreaker
They will.
right over DC. So look, and a whole lot of things. And look, the former 5-time champs right there in Florida at number 12, getting just in right at the end right there. So it's still a whole lot left to be played.
They're down but not out. This view will shuffle quite a bit over the next 3 weeks. We'll
Sure
see
will.
how it all shakes out. All right, let's talk about our offensive and defensive player spotlights from last week. This one I'm excited about. This one is the first time I have repeated an offensive player of the week in the same season, all season long. For me, the best player of the week got it done first game of the week last week. Chicago Warriors quarterback, the mad scientist, as Gerald calls him, Ty Patak. Listen, look at these stats from last week. 25 of 35, 71% completion percentage, 383 yards and 3 touchdowns. That alone is good enough to be the offensive player of the week. He also rushed for 16 times, 76 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Here's one of them right here. You talked about in the pregame, Gerald, you said, oh, they really don't. Are they going to have a running game? They don't have a running back. There he is, the mad scientist. He's living up to that name that you said that he wasn't. Yeah, because he's just getting it done in so many different ways. But he also is able to get it done in the passing game. His favorite target, tight end, Paulie Truth, of course, right over the middle. I mean, he looks in this replay like he's a good foot taller than all the defenders, just the way that he climbs the ladder. And then he's able to not just run it into the end zone, but also throws it in. Nice one-handed grab in the back of the end zone. So at the half, he was 18 of 26, 281 yards, a touchdown. He had only 8 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. We'll get another look at that one-hander in the back. Man, that was pretty. But here's his halftime stats, Gerald. 18 of 26, 281 yards, a touchdown, and he only had those 8 rushing yards, right? But I told you earlier, he had 76 rushing yards on the day. So in the second half, he just decided it's just time to go and run. So here's a run. This one only goes for a few yards, right? But that's pretty much his 5th run in a row. He just was running. Fort Worth says, we got to stop him, sends everyone, which sets up another big touchdown, able to just waltz it into the end zone. Fort Worth it looked like they were just getting frustrated, and out of frustration, sends the house. And, that's what happens. So, some other big passes, a 22-yarder in the third quarter. And then later on, there was a nice one. We'll see it right here. We thought for sure this was a touchdown. It was actually called short of the end zone right there. You can see 4th and goal. But upon further review, it was indeed in. Look how close this one is. Patak just able to stand there in the pocket, looked as comfortable as can be, finds his target, both feet in, just way to set him up right there in the back corner of the end zone. But all right, now here you say Chicago doesn't have a running back? Watch this. Rolls back, boink, 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 into the end zone, touchdown. Yeah, those are the official sound effects of the Chicago Warriors, by the way. Boink. Listen, if it gets him into the end zone, it gets him into the end zone. So he's able to do it through the air. He's able to do it on the ground. He's just all around like there you go. 1, 2, and 3. Just goes into the end zone anyway. Gets a touchdown. Pinball Patak, says Justin Reside. Absolutely. There's his stats on the season through 10 games. He's got 21 touchdowns, number 1 in the SFL. He's got 193 completions, only averaging 56% completion percentage, but over 3,000 yards. That's the most in the league. Over 300 passing yards per game, 6 rushing touchdowns. On 92 attempts, he's got 471 yards. Like ridiculous numbers. You said he's not the mad scientist. Are you ready to take it back?
No, he is, right? Like I can't look. Just when I open my mouth about stuff like this, I called him a mad scientist, and he proved exactly what he was. Then I started questioning his ability to do stuff, and what he does, he shows up and does something like this. And we have over 70% completion percentage,
unbelievable,
and nearly 400 yards and 3 touchdowns in the air, and then you do 2 more on the ground, you become your team leading rusher. There's running backs with his season stats, has less season stats than he has,
Right.
471 yards. There's many running backs across the league that don't have those stats right there.
And he's a quarterback.
Yeah, and I could not agree more. We saw it firsthand.
We
He
did.
was the show. He was the lifeblood of this entire offense last week, and
Yeah.
he did very good.
He did a very good job. Boink. All right, I'm done. All right. What do you got for defense this week?
All right, for me, it's coming off of a team, right, that I done, talked a little bit of smack about.
Called him a pretender.
I did call them a pretender, right?
Mhm.
But I got to go with the Washington Trident safety number 24, Albert Begin. He had a monster game last week, right? Coming in, you can see his stats: 13 tackles, 1 TFL, 3 interceptions, and 3 pass defense right here. Look, and we're going to see over multiple plays right here how good he can be, right? Comes up straight right here, way in the back safety position, run support.
Wow.
Stops him right there for about a 2-yard gain, right? And he's a very, very large guy playing on the back end. So, look, in the second play right here, this is going to be one of his first plays that he makes an interception-wise right here. Sitting in the zone, realizing it was a little bit underthrown. He jumps up, skies up, right? Tries to hit a spin move on a big man. You can just run past him, Albert. You don't need to be finesse against him. He's got one road, and he's going to kind of pull you down. But look, you see him right here. He kind of played up. It's almost like he was waiting for it. He baited that pass into him and just knew where he wanted to be to pick it off. And what he does in the second quarter right here, another pass that's going to go his way, right? What he does, same thing, plays a little bit up underneath where the linebacker should be. And he gets tackled right here by a very large man. And they're like, oh, my God, he's down. And he's just like, man, I don't know. I need my pickle juice, my wickle juice, and some orange slices. What he does, he comes back into the game after being out. He comes back the next series, bats the ball down to prevent it from being caught right there, right in the way. He plays that mid-zone between, where safety should be and right behind the linebackers. And so far this season, he's actually played that, I think, better than anybody else in the league thus far. And not playing the true safety position, but being smart enough to keep himself on the back end. But here he is. He is the player at the half, right? 2 interceptions, 8 tackles, and 1 pass defense right there. And he was not done on the day, right? So here it's in the third quarter. Look, and on this play, look, he's shows 2 receivers entering his zone right here, right? And what he does, he's like, hey, no worries. I got it. I'm going to play the same thing I did before and stay right up underneath him because I have confidence in my ability, right? He does so well right here. And you can see at this point, look, now he's at 9 tackles, and he has 3 interceptions on the day right now. Look, and he's still out there making plays. And this was very important for this game, right, for them to actually win this game because it was a very, very close game. Right here, third down. What he does, plays that same feel, jumps up, knocks it down. Could have had a 4th pick, but wasn't able quite to grab it down. And here's another third down play, right? As Arizona starts, starts maturing, what he does, gets in there and just touches it, plays underneath, applies the hit, knocks the ball out to prevent that big, yardage gain and everything else. And here's another play right here. Here's a TFL for him, coming way back on the end because he's able to play right behind the linebackers. He reads really well and is able to come in there and make that TFL to help his team win the game. Look, in one of these last plays, we're going to see him play pass defense as well right here in the fourth quarter where they kind of needed it, the most right here. Gets right in front of it, bats it down, shuts it down. Look, very, very good he played yesterday. Yesterday, last week, and it was really good. And look at his season stats, right? 61 tackles, 17 assists, 5 TFLs, 2 sacks, 8 interceptions, which guess what? Leads the SFL in interceptions with 8, doing really good things. And guess what? 8 pass defenses as well. Very good that he's going there and doing these things, and that was a big part of them winning that game. And he's also been a big part of actually them getting themselves in a situation for me not to call them a pretender anymore.
There you go. And a poll has just opened up, Gerald. Virtual Football Network wants to know, if the SFL Nation would buy Gerald Smith a What He Does shirt in the new SFL shop. You might not even realize it. How often you say what he does is.
What he does is? Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe. Put it. What he does.
What he does.
What he does
What
is.
it do.
Yeah, what he do. What he does. Let's just do it. I'll do it.
Sure.
I'll buy my own shirt.
Well, he's trying to get you a free one right now.
Yeah, well,
See what happens.
I'll buy it anyway.
Type
Put it in the shop.
Type Attack and Albert Begin, our offensive and defensive player of the week. Congratulations, both. You played amazing games. Damon Simeon in the chat said that Type Attack should have those types of stats because they throw 60-plus times a game. True, but that doesn't mean he's going to complete 70% of them
No.
or rush for 70 yards and a couple of touchdowns. There's a reason. It's not just,
still,
not just the pass.
Right, you
attack.
still have to be efficient with the ball. And he was
Yeah.
70% completions, 3 touchdowns, minimal turnovers, and he's able to do it on the ground. 5 touchdowns. What player, regardless of what he does all that stuff, can score you 5 touchdowns? People won't do that every week.
No, absolutely not. All right. Week 13 in the rearview mirror. Whew. Thank goodness. Darn it, we're going to still talk about the picks later, aren't we?
Sure.
All right, well, let's talk about Week 14, and let's take a look at the Week 14 schedule, shall we? On a bye week this week, we've got Albuquerque, Chicago, and Houston, so good news for all those South Division teams. Houston cannot win this week. Can't lose either, but, oh well.
That's the key. They can't lose.
They can't lose. All right, well, we got
to
to
play you guys pretty soon.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Got a whole good slate of games this weekend. Starting off tonight, we've got Pittsburgh at Arizona, and that's the game that you and I will call in about 30 minutes' time. On Saturday, we've got a 4-pack of games starting at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Carolina at Florida with Eric Vincent and Wade Phillips. We've got Charleston, Fort Worth with Colin and Rick Northrup. And then at 9 p.m., we've got Lexington at Mexico City with Cameron Duty and Mark Lopez. And D.C. at Oklahoma City at 9:15. That one is Jacob Clear and Anthony Ellison. So then on Sunday, another 4-pack of games. This one's going to be an interesting one. Vancouver at Minnesota. Is Minnesota going to be able to get back into the winning ways against a team like Vancouver that's just coming off a loss? Minnesota's at home. Jacob Clear, Jesse Long get to call that one for us. DC at Bossier City. Eddie Gage, DJ Kilgannon. And then at 9 o'clock, we've got Queen City at Sin City. Brett Solberg and Rochelle Colston, and Detroit at Los Angeles with DJ Kilgannon and Jesse Long. The Monday Night Spectacular this week with Cam and Charles. Washington at Baltimore. Gerald, we're going to break down the Pittsburgh-Arizona game in detail, but we're only going to do one breakdown this week, so just mention another game that you're most interested in.
It's like you mentioned. I do think it's going to be that Vancouver Minnesota game, right? Because if Minnesota wants to try to get themselves back into the playoffs, they're going to have to win a game against a very good Vancouver team at home. So look, if it's something to be done, Minnesota has to do it here. If not, they can kiss it goodbye.
Absolutely, I could not agree more. And with that, why don't we go ahead and revisit? Let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? Instead of breaking down that second game this week, what we're going to do is we're going to take you all the way back about a month to week 10 when we had our Contenders and Pretenders show. And we're going to revisit where those teams are now and see just how right we were. Spoiler alert, we really weren't right at all, come to find out. So let's start with the Contenders. Albuquerque. Albuquerque was one of the teams that I said was a contender. At that point, they were 3-3. Now they're 4-6. My new prediction for them is to end up 5-7. So they beat Lexington the week of the show. So I called them a contender. They went out there, they beat Lexington. I'm like, yes. Then they dropped 3 straight games. They're on a bye week right now, but then they finish up the season on the road where they've only won once this season. So those other 3 wins they've got, they were all their home games. So they face 2-7 Bossier City, so perhaps they can win that one. But then they face Mexico City in Mexico. And listen, I know I've gotten blown out twice. I hope you all were watching because I'm not going to be doing that again.
You said that last time.
Yeah, I know I did. I know. So that was, I just wanted to give everybody that missed it one more shot. Shut up. So were they a contender? No, I honestly, I don't even think that they're going to make the playoffs at this point. So any thoughts on Albuquerque?
I can't agree more. I thought they may have been on the fringe for me, right? It's the fringe of getting in, being a contender and not. But the way that they've, seemingly collapsed, it seems like I can't agree more. And I do believe that your prediction is probably almost spot on at 5-7. They're going to lose another game. They're going to win another game. And that's about it.
Albert Begin is like Beetlejuice. Apparently you say his name 3 times and poof, he shows up. So
yeah.
He made it. He's here.
He heard a lot of
hopefully
what he does. He did a lot that game.
What he does. So, all right. The other contender that I had declared was Minnesota, like I just talked about. Minnesota, they're hosting Vancouver. At that point, they also were 3-3. Now they are 4-5. My prediction for them, also 5-7. The week of the show, they lost a close one to Washington by a single point. For them to really be a contender, they needed to win that one. But I thought, hey, it's only by 1
Right.
point. There's still a pretty good shot here the rest of the way. Then they hosted Baltimore, and they beat them by 2 scores. So it's like, there you go. Another close loss would follow. It's the 45-42 overtime thriller against Denver. But what's next? Well, like we said, they host Vancouver this week. That's going to be a very difficult game. Then they are in Pittsburgh next week. That's going to be an extremely difficult game. And then to close out the season, they're hosting the Toros. Listen, there's a chance they might not win a game again. If they do, I think at best they maybe win that Toros game. So they're 4-5. I think they're going to 4-7. So are they a contender? No, I don't think that they'll make the playoffs either. Even though they're currently shown as in the hunt here on that playoff graphic. You see it right there. They're 13th. I think they're going to disappear next week, Gerald, and I think they're going to fall from there.
Look, and this was one I was so close to picking as making to one of my pretenders.
Yeah.
In addition to you making them a contender.
Yep.
And look, I wish I would have done them kicking myself because I would have got this one
You
right.
got it right.
And guess what? I did not believe in what they said because they started off rocky and they never looked really on good pace, to what they did, seasons before. But now they are. I would call them a pretender right now, similar just like at Albuquerque. At this stage, they have no hopes of getting in. They're pretending like there's somebody and they're really not.
All right. So I was 0 for 2 on contenders. How about this last one, though? Arizona. We're going to see them tonight. They were 4-3. Now they're 6-4. I think they get to at least 7-5. The week of the show, they destroyed Charleston 31-10. They followed that up with a dominant win over Sin City on the road. Which is hard to do, apparently. Last week, they had a close loss to Washington by 4 points, and tonight they host Pittsburgh, which is going to be among their biggest challenges of the season. Then they hit a bye week. They close out the season by hosting Queen City. I think they win at least one, if not both, of those games as well. So contender, yes, I think I got this one right. I think Arizona continues on into the playoffs, and they are a contender for the championship.
And I do think this was a slam dunk pick for you, right? And at the time, it wasn't quite as easy to pick them as some people may look at it and think that it was.
They were 4-3.
It was kind of a difficult pick. Even at that, I was even it was a little bit back in my mind down a list of other people, but they were on my list as far as pretenders as well. But they've always ended up rising above that. So this one was a slam dunk pick. They were on the fringe, and then. They're making it happen.
All right. How about your pretenders? Where are they now?
All right. So my pretender revisit, we're going to start out with the Detroit Maulers, right? At the time, they were 3-4. They are now 5-5, right? I did say that, hey, their best finish was going to be 5-7. Since then, they have gone 2-1 after they were labeled that. And look, and on paper, they, right now, they seem to be on track to have a better finish than I predicted them to have at 5-7. Look, and they have exceeded my expectation whatsoever because I couldn't put them wherever it may have been. Why? Because I don't know what they were doing or how they were doing it or anything like that. But guess what? They've actually gotten there. Look, and actually won the games they needed to win so far. But guess what? They still now have. Right, they have a favorable remaining schedule.
Yep.
They, and they can go 7-5 if they actually play their cards very well. Who do they have left? Right now they have L.A. who's 2-7, and Baltimore who is 3-6 left on their schedule. They can finish at 7-5. Right, I cannot call them a pretender anymore. Right, they made me eat my words. And guess what? They're in the mix to make the playoffs. Right, and look, I solely missed on this prediction right here. Right off the bat, they showed me. Guess what? They look good. Uniforms look good, and they are now starting to play good.
They are doing great. I know you think you got this next one completely right, though, as you've been dogging them all season long.
Yeah. Florida's a mess. You can say what you want. Florida's a mess. At the time, they were 3-3, and now they're 4-5. I said their best finish was going to be 6-6.
They're 12th in the playoff picture.
Yeah, let's not even. Yeah, it's not. It's an illusion right now. So look, they have gone 1 since being called pretenders, and it still stands. It still stands for me. They are what I said they were, which is pretenders. And they, in my look, they are a shell of what they used to be in all their dynasty seasons, winning all them championships, going undefeated through the season and winning championships. Look, they are dying a very slow death. And for me, knowing this team when they're in their heyday, it's pretty painful to see.
Yeah.
It's like an old ball player who just doesn't know when to quit, right? So they have 3 games left. 2 are versus Carolina, who's been playing pretty well the last 2 weeks. Who are at 3-6, right? So in the last 2 games, they look really, really good, and then they play against Denver. I just don't see them getting to 6-6, but I do think I'm gonna give them one, and they're gonna split the games against Carolina. But they are going to finish 5-7. They are pretenders.
It's like watching Brett Favre in his final seasons.
It just
One of the
wasn't
legends
good.
of the game, and then just in his final seasons, just rough to watch.
You gotta shoot them. You gotta stab. I don't know what you do with stuff you just need to get rid of, but it's just I feel like it's just there for the taking.
Yeah.
It just it's disappointing, is what it is.
All right, how about this last one? You called them pretenders, and
Oh,
I think
Lord.
they really kind of said, "Yeah, bet."
Man, I tell you what, they are 3-3 at the time. They are now 6-3, and I did say their best finish was going to be 5-7. They have now exceeded that. They gave me a long length of rough cut. Let me tell you, the Trident stuck it to me in the worst possible way. Good for them, right? Look, I have they have not lost since the prediction,
Right.
right? And proved that I have no clue what the hell I'm talking about. They have regained their form from last season, playing out a really, really good clip, right, and been on cruise control. Now, it is possible for them that they can still finish a 6-6 if they collapse,
Right.
but it just does not seem like it's very likely. Look, they, at worst, in my opinion, will finish 7-5, which gives them a very, very good chance to make the playoffs. Their remaining games: Baltimore 3-6, Vancouver 7-2, and Denver, who is 6-3.
Those are tough.
Now,
games.
but also they can win those games. The way they played, they can win those games. They could very well win out and end up 9-3. They can do that. Look, they have turned from a pretender to a contender.
Yeah. I mean, it just goes to show this show is really, it's kind of like Seinfeld. It's a show about nothing because we really have no clue what we're talking about.
Not at all.
We haven't even gotten into the picks yet. We'll wait. We got a game to break down first, but then we'll recap that the week that was. All right, we've got Pittsburgh and Arizona coming up in less than 10 minutes time. Let's talk about this game. It is a huge game for both of these teams. We've already talked about both of these teams a little bit throughout the show. Let's get into them in detail. Pittsburgh undoubtedly having an amazing season. I mean, they're 7-2 after starting off 0-2. That means they have won 7 straight games since starting off without a win. A win tonight secures them their first playoff appearance in their 3-season history. It also, at least until Sunday, would put them out in front of the North Division. DC currently occupies that spot, and they take on Bossier City on Sunday night. So if DC beats Bossier City, they would reclaim first place, at least for now. That one could go back and forth a few times as the season plays out. So Pittsburgh's playing incredibly well. They put up the second most points per game on offense, and they are allowing the least points per game on defense. However, Corey, if you're listening, sorry, facts are facts. They have only faced one team all season with a winning record. Granted, they beat them. It was DC. But they are dead last in strength of schedule. Dead last. They've had the easiest schedule of any team in the league. Does that mean that they don't deserve these wins? Absolutely not. It just means that they have played a lot of teams that haven't had a lot of success. One reason those teams have at least one loss each is because of Pittsburgh, though.
Correct.
So that being said, this will be a major test for them as they take on the 6-4 Arizona Scorpions. So for Arizona, they're now third in the West Division at 6-4. A loss to Washington last week put them there, but there is still a road to first place in the West for them, and of course a road to the playoffs. Because I got to get at least one contender pick, right? So I mean, come on. Listen, it's a bumpy road, though. The road to the winner of the West is very bumpy road. It's full of potholes. It's not even paved. The only way that Arizona can win the West at this point is to win out, and Vancouver has to lose their 3 remaining games, and Washington has to lose to Baltimore and to Denver. Washington plays Vancouver, so Washington doesn't need to lose out. They need to beat Vancouver that week, but Vancouver needs to lose them all. Washington needs to lose all the other ones except for Vancouver, and Arizona has to win them all. So can it be done? Sure. But I think really the eye on the prize now is going to be not the division title, because that's not the end game. This is the end game. This is what
Correct.
Arizona is going for. West Division title, that doesn't mean squat if you don't end up with that trophy. So a win tonight would give them 7 on the season. That's not a guarantee for the playoffs. It doesn't give them a lock in, but it certainly increases the likelihood by a lot. So 2 amazing teams, a lot on the line for both of them tonight. Break it down for us.
Look, in Pittsburgh, as we know, hey, Louisiana North, right? I got it right here. Look, they lost. They have not lost since week 2.
Nope.
2 straight they lost, but then they turn around and won 7 straight, and they're looking good right now headed into Arizona. And like you said, hey, look, they do have the lowest strength of victory, but you can only play who's on your schedule and beat who's on your schedule. That's what they have done, right? They have turned themselves into a top 6 offense, along with having the number 2 rushing attack and being number 2 in points per game. Running back Mike Churchill is the SFL's number 2 rusher. 779 yards, just under 800-yard rushing on the season. Number 2 in TDs. He has 10 in total. Oh, and they have BB Bliss back there, who was a rush for over another 400, while also adding another 4 rushing touchdowns, right? So collectively, both running backs average over 4 yards per carry. That's 3rd in the SFL. And look, Ace Finnick has also been efficient by managing the game. There's nothing wrong with the quarterback being a game manager. They get that just a bad label everybody needs to get rid of, right? So he managed the game really well while also limiting the turnovers, right? He has thrown the 3rd fewest turnovers in the SFL, and it's number 5 in QBR. His wide receivers, Ziggy Ronick, and the secret weapon, Doug Britton, have been Finnick's favorite targets. Collectively, they have over 80 receptions and over 1,300 receiving yards. This offense is also number 1 on 3rd down, converting 61% when the league average is 51%. They are far exceeding the average. Look, and they are a run-first team, but they have mixed in the past very, very well over the course of their win streak, and being as efficient as they have been has been a key to their success on offense. They are looking pretty dangerous right now to me.
They are. They're looking very dangerous offensively. They're also looking very dangerous defensively. Arguably one of the best defenses in the league. They're top. They're number 1 in one category, right?
Look, yeah, and to say, look, and they are sneakily doing so.
Yeah.
No one's really talking about it. Everybody's looking at Houston. They're looking at some of the, still looking at Vancouver.
Yep.
DC having a resurgence, but guess what? They sneakily have getting themselves in. They have the number 6 rushing defense, number 4 pass defense, number 2 total defense, and the number 1 scoring defense in the league, only allowing 13 points per game, right? And one of their key players they've had is defensive end Odette Boudreaux, who is having a career season. She has 4 sacks. That is a career season for her. Probably more than Dan Tritz had in 6 seasons. I don't know, but it seems maybe. But Dan Tritz can't buy a sack, but she's getting sacks this season. She's got 4, along with, Brian Coach Craven, right, who has 6 sacks from his linebacker position. This unit has also turned 4 of their 16 interceptions that they have gotten directly into points via the pick 6 variety, 2 of which have come at the hands of fellow Bash brother to Craven, linebacker Doug Day. He has had 2 interceptions this season, both turned into pick 6s, and you know what? All 3 of those that I mentioned, you guessed it, former Revs. There you go. Look, they have great players across the defense.
Whatever.
But none are noted to be on any all-star type pace. Boo the man who makes the formula for the all-star team. But look, they have worked collectively, Mike, and that's not a knock on them or even the system, right? But look, they have collectively worked as a unit as becoming one of the league's best, right?
Yeah,
you put all that together,
are.
everybody's contributing. If everybody's doing enough, right? Guess what? You have not one person doing a lot. So look, key players this week: Churchill and Bliss. Set the tone with the run game. Finnick, stay mistake-free and be efficient. And the defense, continue to operate as a complete unit, right? Everybody contributes and everything else. I think you can keep it going visiting Arizona if you do that.
I would agree. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I mean, coming off of, like I said, 7 wins in a row, but against lesser teams than what I think they're going to face here with Arizona. Arizona, they've been up and down throughout the season against elite teams. They've definitely struggled to win games. Talk about them.
Look, and they've lost to elite teams in Vancouver, who's 7-2, Houston, who's 9-1, Washington, who's 6-3, And Albuquerque at the time, look, they were considered as one of the,
Yes.
you even picked them to be a contender. They were
did.
playing well at the
I
time. They're
did.
now 4-6, but at the time, look, we can call them not really elite now, but they were at the time. They were playing really well. Three of those obviously are playoff caliber teams right now. Their offense is among the best in points per game. They're number 5. They score 26 points per game on offense, and their defense is on par with that in allowing only 19 points a game, which ranks 6th, right? They are middle of the road in total offense and defense, but they have made up for that mediocrity on the defensive side, right? They force a lot of turnovers and are top 9 in sacks, right? And TFLs, they are ranked 5th in TFLs. Look, along with takeaways, they rank 4th. Look, and it's all led by the big dog himself, Sean Moore.
Yes.
He has been the anchor of this defense to keep them in those games. He's doing a ton. He's at an all-star pace. He's looking at even a defensive player of the season, in my opinion, because he's playing really well, right? So, look, and this, it has, allowed the defense to get the ball back and get their offense the ball back in favorable, field position, which is why you probably don't see those, higher stats as far as yardage goes, right? The offense also has the 5th best rusher and Brad Jones, what sometimes it seemed like they seemingly have forgotten about, right? So they really need to utilize him. Wide receivers Fox Highwind and T. DeQueen, we talked about it. One of the biggest free agent acquisitions that we've seen in a very long time. Yeah. And collectively, they have nearly 90 receptions, collectively over 1,400 yards and 8 touchdowns. Ashley is finding them at a crazy pace. They're getting open.
Yep.
And like I said, they're both playing at an all-star level. But the issue offensively for me is Ashley Jackson, trying to keep her from turning the ball over. She is among the league's worst in interceptions. 19.
Yeah.
19 interceptions on the season. That's not what you want to see from your quarterback, right? She has to. That's why they lost last week, right? Because did they win last week? I don't know. Can't remember. But I think
they lost by just a little bit.
Yeah, but she threw 3 picks and
lost
no
by
touchdowns.
4 points to Washington.
Right. So she, you know what I mean? And she threw 3 picks. So key players this week, it's got to be Ashley Jackson. She's got to stay mistake free. Has to. If not, they're going to struggle. But get Brad Jones involved to take some of that load off of her. He's 5th in rushing. Give him the ball. He's a bell cow back. And Sean Moore continue to motivate and to steer this defensive ship in the right direction because they can be elite when they all are playing at a high level.
I'm watching for Sean Moore to have a huge impact on tonight's game.
Yes.
If Arizona's going to win, it's going to be because Sean Moore just completely stifles this Pittsburgh offense. So hopefully, for Pittsburgh's sake, that's what they game planned against was how do we get the ball away from Sean Moore? Is it through the pass? Is it through the run? What do we got to do? Because he is going to be a game wrecker. We'll see if he does it or if Pittsburgh's able to come out on top. That one starts in about 7 to 10 minutes from now. So let's get through our picks. All right. We are both 57 and 38 now on the season. Why? Because I went 2-7. Historically bad. How do you pick 9 games and only get 2 right? What was wrong with me in week 13?
You didn't do your homework.
I didn't do anything.
You got complacent, and then you scored my
3
face.
points.
I'm still leading, and I caught up.
My team only scored 1 more point than I got picks correct.
I know, man. That's embarrassing.
What? I just kind of want to cry.
At least you got championships. I don't.
I got 2 rings. I'm good. My name's on the trophy.
Twice.
Fine. Moving on. All right, let's get into our picks. We don't have a lot of time, so we're going to have to roll through them. Carolina at Florida. Who do you got?
I'm continuing with the theme right here. Florida does not have what it takes. Carolina's playing really, really well. I like what they're doing. Skippy and her crew are going to go in there into Florida and show them, hey, look, we might be 3-6, but we're playing a lot better than that right now. We figured stuff out. Carolina's going to win in Florida.
I think Florida's going to win this one, but 2-7 last week. What do I know? But listen, Florida's at home. I think they're still better than you think. Carolina's only won 3 games. Florida's only won 4. I don't know. Florida's 12th in the playoff
My man, Damon Simeon said it perfectly.
Yeah.
It's like an old boxer that refused to retire. Florida, take the gloves off.
Give me Florida. Charleston at Fort Worth.
I got to pick Fort Worth. Charleston, I think we thought they were something more than what they were, and they faltered. Fort Worth is more than what their record is. They played a lot of tough teams and everything else. They just need that little oomph to get over. I think they do it at the Stockyards. Fort Worth wins it.
I couldn't agree more. Fort Worth 3-6 is crazy. It's kind of like Bossier City's record that we'll talk about in a little bit. Fort Worth has played a lot better than a 3-6 team. Charleston, quite frankly, I think has played worse than a 4-6 team. So give me Fort Worth in that one. Lexington at Mexico City.
It's so easy. Mexico City is now back at home. right? They had a terrible
like
trip
it
to
there.
Vegas.
That
They
was
went
bad.
back at home. You got to get your tacos, your Oaxaca cheese for your quesadillas. Guess what?
Quesadillas.
You get that home cooking right here, and I think they run away from Lexington in a big way.
Give me Mexico City as well, of course. Denver at OKC.
OKC is at home. I think they're playing similar to Lexington right here. Denver's looking really good right now. They go into Oklahoma City and take it handily as well.
Yeah, I think this one's kind of a gimme. Oklahoma City, it's frustrating because those 2 wins that they have were so good,
Yep.
and it's like, man, they do have it together, and then they just don't, and it just continues to rear its ugly head. Denver, 6-3, yeah, I think they get win number 7 and get that much closer to securing that playoff berth here in season 25. Give me Denver. Vancouver at Minnesota, a game that could go either way, maybe, or no.
Like I don't know what Minnesota wants to be, and that's the
Yeah.
crazy part about this pick right here. I don't know what they want to be, but can they win it? Yeah, they've showed they can beat elite squads and
Yep.
play, with the top teams. But man, like Vancouver seems like they're just so well rounded right now, and I do think they're going to go into Minnesota. If Minnesota's got to do something, if they want to
They do.
win and continue their playoff push and not be in the pretender category, they have to win this game. But I don't think they do it. Vancouver is way too well coached and way too talented not to win there. Vancouver's going to get their 8th win, and they're going to solidify their playoff spot.
I would agree. Vancouver, I think, is going to win on the road. Those 2 losses that Vancouver has were against good teams, and Minnesota, I don't think, is quite good enough to beat a team like Vancouver. Not this week. Give me Vancouver. DC at Bossier City.
I do think this is probably going to be a better game than what most people think because I just have faith in my Louisiana brothers that you're going to show up, right? And in there, don't let somebody come in our state in our house, especially some weird dragon, right? And just take you down like that. We can't have it.
Weird
But
dragon.
guess what? They just don't have it. DC seems to have rebound. They are now in the playoffs with that 8th win, right? And they're fighting for a division. They have everything to play for. Even though they're coming down to the south in this humid weather, even though it is in the fall, they're going to come down there. And I do think they're going to I don't think they're going to strum, but I do think it's going to be a lot closer game. But DC is going to take it.
Yeah, because DC, I think, is potentially going to watch their number 1 spot in their division go away here in about an hour and a half's time if Pittsburgh can get the win over Arizona. Obviously, Arizona's got a lot to say about that.
Right.
They'd like to see DC still in first place after tonight's game, but DC, if they do lose that first place spot, I think they get it back here after this one. I think they beat Bossier City. I honestly don't think it's going to be quite as close as you do. I know you got faith in your
I do.
Louisiana team, but give me DC in that one. This is one I actually went back and forth on a few times, Gerald. Queen City at Sin City.
Man, Sin City is looking scary to
They
me.
are.
Some of the things that they've won, and Queen City, man, they give me so much hope. We know what, man? It's our neighboring city, right?
Yeah.
Right to the west, and I'm like, they give me so much hope sometimes, and they just
Let's go Buffalo.
they
And they don't.
just kind of fall flat. I'm like, I can't pick them because they're
Yeah.
playing like that. Sin City's playing at home. They play better at home. Sin City's gonna win it.
Team stat wise, Queen City has actually got some better stats as a team. The 2 big stats that they don't have better is points scored and points allowed. Sin City just beats them in both those categories. And at the end of the day, first downs, third down conversions, all that nice to have stuff, passing yards, it don't matter. What matters is how many points you score, how many points you allow. Sin City will get the win. Detroit at Los Angeles.
And this is the thing. This is one where I think LA does have a shot. They're playing at home. They pulled out the upset for me. Thank you for that last week. And guess what? I do think, but they played a lot worse team last
Yeah.
week. But Detroit, look, they proved me wrong on the pretender side of it, right? And I do think they're going to go into LA and they are going to win this because I don't think LA's strong enough.
Yeah, I've got to take Detroit as well. I've been on the Detroit bandwagon for a while. You're getting there. You're
Yeah. getting
there.
Yeah, a little
You
bit.
know,
little
you
bit, little
admitted
bit.
that they are not the pretenders that you thought they were.
They're not.
So give me Detroit. I think that they'll beat LA. I think they'll do it with a sense of ease. Final pick, Washington, Baltimore.
All right, I got to go with Washington. The pretenders turned to contenders over the last few weeks. Proved me wrong. Washington takes it pretty easy in Baltimore.
Yeah, give me Washington as well. Baltimore, it's another one of those teams that's like that boxer that refuses to retire. They're not the team that they once were. Washington is the team that they were last season. I think they're going to continue to win and have a great rest of the season. That is all the time that we've got. Listen, you're going to want to stick around for the next couple of minutes, though, as we make our way up to the booth. go ahead and listen to this awesome theme song by the Pittsburgh Riverhogs as you get ready to see Pittsburgh and Arizona take the field. This has been the Matt Willson SFL Kickoff Show. For Gerald Smith, Cameron Irvine, and Ron Haynes, I'm Mike Dykes. Thanks for joining us. Get ready because SFL action is just around the corner.
In a city built on steel, sweat and pride. In a city built on steel, sweat and pride. There's a new team rewriting history. In a city built on steel, sweat and pride. In a city built on steel, sweat and pride. There's a new team rewriting history. In a